idea of Untitled goes back to the 60s and 70s, more connected of minimal and concept art, which is very inspiring to me, but is not the real me, especially not in the 21st century, or should I say 2017. The idea of the pale blue, of course, gives a context to my work, but at the same time it says something about space, which is very important. You have the idea of three-dimensional space in my work, but I also want to play it in the space, I mean the gallery itself. What I mean by this color, pale blue, is a color very close to white, but it gives the effect of black and white. So if we start to build up the exhibition, you have the effect of black and white. So there is already a play of space, like white is coming to you, the pale color, even if it's pale, it goes back. So it gives a visual play of black and white. In this work, you might see it as the idea of realism, or I might say the digital realism. The painting calls on Instagram. It started from a blurred sea. The digital effect gives a platform to paint 24 abstract squares. You get a movement, and at the same time you have a frozen moment. The black line on the painting is the horizon. The horizon is isolated from the seascape. During the development of the last show, called Subtitled, we were working with a level. And on that case, I become to the idea of using a level in an image. Because on this moment, the level or leveling is a very important or actual idea of this time. So I used it to intrude a known image as an orange monochrome. The first painting calls on Instagram, then you have Untitled Orange, and here you have Untitled Green. There's no size in painting, there's only scale. That's what the big Barnett Newman said. I thought it was in '69. So when you look at that idea, you always feel the importance of the idea of scale. And here in this work in particular, I used it to put stress on the idea of leveling. You have a bigger idea of level and a smaller idea of painting. Because of the symmetry of the image, it becomes a quiet and leveled image in general. On one hand, you have the idea about economy, calls black ink, which means black incorporated. I'm always very interested in world economy because it has influence on everything. But on the other hand, you have black ink, which is again a wordplay. Ink, the things we use in a pen to write with black ink. But the other component is about line. A lot of abstract painters of the last century talked about using a line in painting, even in monochrome paintings. The point is, you have the idea of a color and you have another tone of the same color. The painters talked about line. So I worked deeper on the idea of a line, and I used the line as a painting. It's a three-dimensional line, and it gives the possibility to paint in a monochrome fashion. In the work of Judd, he uses open compartments, which is very interesting. It says something about color, about scale. It has a very sculptural effect. But as I start from the idea Untitled, I would do something completely different. A little bit against the idea of Judd, even if I like his work very much. I really admire it. The point is that I closed the compartments in 5 pots and in 5 different colors. The link with paint is, for example, if you take a painting of Jan van Eyck, you see in the background, you see a landscape. It's a middle-aged landscape, but it's not the reality of the landscape. It's a pastiche, it's a collage of different kind of landscapes to suggest the idea of medieval landscape. So it's a Photoshop of the Middle Ages. And that idea I used in this work. The idea of beauty is determined by color. The beauty is in the color. For me, turquoise volume is about beauty. And so it's a conceptual level of Photoshop and beauty. I'm looking at the last works of Ellsworth Kelly. For example, the work I'm looking at now is in yellow and black. Very simple, I might say, very minimal, but it's a design from the 50s. And he told in one of the interviews, he's explaining after 2000, he was prepared and ready to execute that painting. In my opinion, it's one of the best works he made. I'm looking at the paintings of Alice Neal. I'm very attracted to it because she used impressionist elements and expressionist elements. For example, the dress in this work is very abstract and she is giving herself a platform to paint abstract, and everybody can see that it's a dress. I also like the old-fashioned idea of painting, like it's handcrafted. You have the paint, you have the brush, and she does a suggestion of reality. Maybe all my work is also figuration.